situation, review.
It's an all new demographic for me to conquer.
Brooklyn!
What's up, everyone? It's Adam from FWCI, and as always, when I get to the end of a season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I do a season wrap-up, and this one came a lot quicker because there was a three-parter at the start of the season, there was a two-parter in the middle of the season, and then there was another three-parter at the end of the season, which turned into a copyright nightmare, so now that's just up in 3 separate videos. So this season wrap-up has come along very, very quickly for me. In this wrap-up, I'm just going to talk about my top 3 favorite cold opens and my top 3 episodes from the season. It's getting really hard to try and decide who my favorite characters are because I've been watching the show for 4 seasons now and I'm so much more invested in everything, and there's a lot of different flavors of storylines going on as well, so it's really hard to try and pin down which characters I'm enjoying. Spoiler alert, it's probably Captain Holt if I'm just going to try and speculate. Let's just give Holt the award, shall we? But thank you everyone for checking out all my Brooklyn Nine-Nine reactions. If you're unaware, you can get 2 weeks early access to my Brooklyn reactions by subscribing to my Patreon. Yes, I've launched a Patreon. I don't know how I feel about doing this, but I've found a way to make sure that I can give you guys something for a little bit of support in return, because monetization in YouTube is starting to become a bit of a questionable income source. We'll put it that way. But let's get into my Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 4 wrap-up.
It's Bonza!
Hello, Sexarella. Derek.
Yes, it was easy! It's an all new demographic for me to conquer.
Let's start with my top 3 cold opens. Number 3, it has to be... The Halloween episodes are always amazing, but this cold open in particular was just something special. I love the way that the joke escalated with Jake coming in first, and then, with Amy coming in first, then Jake, and then Holt. Everything just getting more and more blown up as each person comes in to announce that it's heist day or whatever. We get a great taste of petty Captain Holt in this one. Him entering with the big band playing Rise of the Valkyries was just perfect writing. This whole cold open was just perfectly written the entire way through, even down to Holt using the line of Jake is a has-been.
Well, this has been with yo mama all week. Sorry, I feel like I crossed a line.
Great quality dialogue in this cold open, and that's why it's my number 3 cold open of the season. Number 2 is from episode 6, Monster in the Closet.
I'm gonna show you that there's nothing in there.
Don't do that, Papa.
See? Nothing. Hey, Chuck.
This is very much a one-note kind of cold open, although we do get to meet Nikolaj. Hang on. Nikolaj. Alright, say it with me. Nikolaj? We finally get to meet Nikolaj, and it's in very dire circumstance. I think this is the first time we got to meet him, or maybe Captain Latvia, I'm not sure. But we meet Nikolaj. He's terrified because there's a scary man in his closet. Boyle assumes that it's a figment of his imagination, but of course it's not. It's Pimento, and the fact that Pimento is in Boyle's house, which is where he stayed for a while, I love that element that this is something that logically would happen. Pimento's also terrifying. He's in a child's room. The whole situation is just absolutely insane, and if we didn't have Pimento with the history that we have with him, this scene probably wouldn't have worked, especially in like an earlier season or something like that. But knowing what Pimento is like, it just makes this entire scene hilarious, and that's why it's number 2 on my top 3 list of cold opens from season 4. And number 1 has to be impersonations of Holt.
What is this glutinous monstrosity before me?
The sugar in this is quite sweet. Looks like a sticky pillow.
I love a good Captain Holt impersonation, and I love the fact that the writers of the show understand that the fans love this man's voice and love the character, like to pretend to be the character. He's a very quotable character as well. So the marshmallow joke was just spectacular. Every single person who had a go at doing a Holt impersonation absolutely nailed it, except for Boyle. And then obviously we get the punchline at the end that that's exactly how Holt would react to having a marshmallow. But this was a very special cold open. Captain Holt is a great character, and this cold open is just a great, salute to Captain Raymond Holt, and that's why it's number 1 on my top 3 list of cold opens for Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 4. Honorable mention, and honestly this was like borderline with being the 3rd overall, is the same Thai cold open from the Moo Moo episode. I don't know if it's just because it reminds me of Auntie Donna, but if you saw that reaction, you know I put up a meme, so let's just see that meme again.
What a delicious muggaccini, and great with a focaccia.
Are you wearing the same tie as me?
You are joking!
You beauty! You beauty!
You are joking!
What are you two boys gawping and giggling about?
Now, mate, have a look. Is anything tying us together? And yes, that pun was intended. Well, bloody have a look.
Gee, I'm not sure. You've been, okay, a bit of spot the difference, alright? Or a bit of spot the similarities, are we playing? Alright.
Hey, look at that.
Gee, I'm not sure. I don't know. Wait a minute. Are you two boys wearing the same tie?
Speaking of the Moo Moo episode, I did want to highlight that for a moment because I could tell from the comments that that's a little bit of a polarizing episode, and that's where some people seem to, maybe drop off a little bit as Brooklyn fans. And all I could think when I was doing editing and, after uploading and everything like that, is it makes me think of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which had some amazing episodes that were centered around really serious topics. And I wouldn't say that the Moo Moo episode was still hilarious, and maybe it's a bit different to try and have humor around those topics these days as opposed to back in the early 90s. But if they can find a way to balance the humor with the the weight of the topic, then I'm all for it. And The Fresh Prince is the perfect example of that. Some of my favorite episodes are the serious ones, like for example Just Say Yo, which is I don't think that ever aired in Australia when I was a kid, to be honest. I think that one just never was given the green light to go on our TV screens. Carlton accidentally takes a bunch of speed at the homecoming dance, the prom, I think it is, nearly ODs, and Will has to do this really tearful confession that he had this drugs in his locker in case he was falling asleep and all this whole thing. There's another episode where Will gets shot and Carlton goes and gets a gun. Really stands out. It's literally some of my favorite episodes of that show. But one of the best ones was definitely where Will and Carlton go to sign up to a fraternity that's like a African-American fraternity, and they put them through all this hazing and stuff, and apparently they had no intention of letting Carlton join the fraternity because he's too white in his presentation or whatever like that. Great episode, but also a really funny episode as well. Obviously at times not funny, but other times plenty funny. So I'm all here for more episodes like that. As long as they're funny, that's the important thing. And Moo Moo was still a great episode. It did catch me off guard though. I was waiting for it to pick up a little bit, and it just kind of stayed in that almost uncomfortable energy when Terry was talking to the officer and everything like that. It kind of hung there maybe a little bit too long, and I'm interested to see what other episodes we have like that coming up from season 5, 6, and 7. But now it's time for my top 3 episodes of season 4. Let's jump right into it. Episode 3, Halloween 4.
Pick your jaws up off the floor, ladies.
Where did Gina come from?
So I'm a huge fan of these Halloween episodes, and Amy, Peralta, and Holt all vying for the championship is just... I love that booking. That's a marquee matchup that will get my butt in the seat for that, contest. And similar to the other Halloween episodes, it kind of drags a little bit in the middle because you don't really know what's going on. You don't know who's in or what's going on. It was still enjoyable, but like things always pick up at the very end of these Halloween episodes. And this one was no exception. Gina taking the W after her stunt with the teeth falling out and all this other stuff, purely because she was offended by the word detective being on there, which, okay, fair enough, Gina, but also like, you're also a pretty good detective now. You can just call yourself a detective. The flashbacks in this were particularly good, like Gina's teeth coming out, for example, and how that tied into a story that she was talking to Jake about earlier in the episode. Gina wearing Amy's suit and appearing in the background. I think I went back and had a look, and she was never actually in the background, but for the sake of the story, I just thought that was a really good device to, you know, lead the audience along. It's a great fit for Gina that she would win, and I still didn't see it coming. That's what I like about these, is I still never can predict the outcome. I'm such a rube. I get convinced to believe whatever the story writers want me to believe. That's a part of the game, I guess. And Gina's monologue at the end with no teeth on was just spectacular as well. Her getting her moment in the sun like that is something I'm glad to see. And by the way, honorable mention for the top 3 episodes, Mr. Santiago. Another fantastic episode that nearly made the cut, but just lost out to Halloween 4. Number 2 on my top 3 list of Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 4 top 3 episodes is episode 14, Serve and Protect.
The fans will love to see my fingers. Almost as much as they love seeing my feet. Google it.
No.
Alright, before we get into the meat of this episode, I really enjoyed the whole story about Terry breaking up with Veronica and Gina and Amy trying to figure out what he did because she's still hurting. That was a really fun story to kind of complement the main story that was happening, and I just like that interaction with Amy and Gina helping Terry with like romantic issues. And we also had a good third story in this one with Holt and Boyle trying to blackmail the commissioner and the whole, how's your pump wife pump. That scene is absolutely classic. That really stuck with me after doing the editing. But the main story was Peralta and Rosa getting offered a job to work on Serve and Protect, which is like Law and Order, and we got to meet Cole Tracker. I really hope we haven't seen the last of that character. That's not even really his name, that's his character's name on this TV show. But seeing Nathan Fillion in this character was just something special, and every time he was on the screen, it was just unbelievably entertaining. He kind of, I wouldn't say chewed the scenery, but he definitely outperformed, Andy Samberg and Stephanie Beatrice in this episode. Every scene he was in, he was just on fire. Not to mention that, again, another great mystery in this one with like whatever it ended up being. It was, that's right, it was Cole Tracker, who was jealous that this woman was getting such a good response and was going to get a spin-off. Love the ending of that one.
And Jake Peralta, the grossest pervert of all time.
NYPD, you're under arrest, you unbelievable creep.
But let's talk about my number 1 episode from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Season 4, The Fugitive Part 2.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast.
I was so geared up for this. Anytime Doug Judy comes onto the show, I'm always in a state of absolute joy. And this episode was particularly good. I mean, we had Doug Judy, still kind of playing the fence, it felt like, but his immunity was on the line and him and Jake were getting along so well. They've really done a great job building those characters like toward each other, and I was just so happy to see them on the same page, able to work as a team finally. But we still got all the teasers of Doug Judy, betraying everybody, and we had the whole storyline with Gertie and Doug Judy buying Holt a new car because, quote unquote, I got it at an auction for $500. This is not a nice vehicle, which is one of my favorite lines. Why is Holt so obsessed with that? But it's okay because it's called Sexarella now, so Holt is very happy with his new car. The side stories on this weren't too bad. Terry feeling very old it was a very brief story, but they did a great job of really illustrating how that feeling must feel. I kind of feel like that sometimes. I'm 36, but every now and then I do feel my age, or maybe a little bit more. And the whole story with Boyle's social media etiquette, I think that's just very on brand for Boyle. That is a conversation that would need to be had with him. And they played that whole storyline very well with Gina and Amy. Gina and Amy did did a lot of teaming up in this season, now that I kind of look back on it. But really enjoyed that storyline. But obviously, Doug Judy was the main event. Him and Peralta, he's immune now, so who knows where he's going to show up in Season 5. I can't wait to see. But that was my favorite episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 4. My favorite cold open was the Captain Holt impersonations, and I'm just going to call it. Captain Holt was my favorite character for the season. Let's make it official. Holt's been deemed the best character.
Now, who's the bomb?
What was the line that he said in the Halloween one? Who do you work for, pizza man? That line stuck with me as well. I can't think of any circumstances where I could use that in real life. I could order a pizza, I guess, and then grab him by the shirt and be like, who do you work for, pizza man? But I don't know, maybe they won't deliver to me after that, which is probably not a bad thing, actually. Pizza's gross. Nasty takeaway pizza is gross, I mean. Good pizza's good. Domino's and Pizza Hut, bleh. And that's been Pizza Talk. I'm Adam from FWCI. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 4. What were your favorite cold opens and what were your favorite episodes? And who is the best character in Brooklyn? Is it Holt? It's gotta be Holt. Holt's the best. And don't forget to subscribe to FWCI on Patreon, where you can get 2 weeks early access to my Brooklyn Nine-Nine reactions and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Early access for all of it. It only costs $5 redues a month. I'm trying to keep the price as low as I can. And as always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your friends. See you in the next video. Peace.
Watch this. Scully! Go to sleep.
Okay.